Hello, this is Sarah Braasch. Welcome back to my channel. So I just decided that I want to do a quick impromptu video because I decided that I'm not done with Michael Harriot of The Root yet. I'm just so appalled by him, and I find him and his behavior so abhorrent, and he really epitomizes everything that is bigoted and disgusting and stupid about woke intersectional feminism. Because, and I just want to make this point 100% perfectly clear, Michael Harriot of The Root was perfectly happy to destroy the Living While Black movement. He was perfectly happy to destroy the Living While Black movement for moral outrage industry, money, and gain. And it's not even about me. It's not even about the fact that he was perfectly happy to get me killed, perfectly happy to drive me to suicide, perfectly happy to incite my murder, someone who was obviously entirely innocent, a lifelong human and civil rights activist, someone with mental health disabilities, a member of a vulnerable population, a sexual assault survivor. It's not even about the fact that he was happy to make disgusting and bigoted and derogatory comments about me and my genitalia, calling me a swamp twat, referring to my vagina mucus as goat's milk. I mean, it's not even about just about that, but it's about during 2018 and 2019, there was not a race or hate crime hoax, and in particular, there was not a Living While Black hoax that Michael Harriot did not take full advantage of for every single possible penny of moral outrage industry, profit, and gain at the expense of innocent people's lives and careers. There was nothing that he didn't use as a vehicle to make money at the expense of an innocent person's life. Do you remember that woman in a dog park? The woman in a dog park who seemed to have a legitimate concern and seemed to be calling the police just because she was being filmed and she felt threatened. And it didn't seem like she actually made the call to the police until after she was being filmed. She didn't understand why she was being filmed in a dog park, in a public park, by someone with whom she had some kind of, verbal confrontation, some kind of verbal altercation, and she felt uncomfortable, she felt unsafe, and she decided to go ahead and call the police. And you know what? He took advantage of that. He had no qualms about taking advantage of every single possible Living While Black hoax, every single possible Living While Black hoax in 2018 and 2019. It could not be more obvious that the Living While Black movement was turned into a blood sport. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic. I do not think I'm being hyperbolic in any way, shape, or form. I certainly almost died. And anyone who wants to try to scoff at me, insult me for saying that, call me a liar, call me a whiner, call me a grifter. Well, if I'm a grifter, I'm really horrible at it. I'm like the worst grifter in the entire world because I haven't made a single penny off of the destruction of my life and career. A lot of other people, including Michael Harriot of The Root, have made a ton of money off of the destruction of my life and career, I haven't made any. I'm struggling to raise legal funds. I'm struggling to raise legal funds so that I can sue Yale and the entire moral outrage industry and Michael Harriot and The Root for participating in the global vilification and defamation campaign against me that almost got me killed and destroyed my lifelong human and civil rights, academic, and legal careers. But what I'm trying to say is that it could not be more obvious at this point that the vast majority of the Living While Black incidents have turned out to be Living While Black hoaxes, race and hate crime hoaxes. The Living or Napping While Black incident at Yale University was a hate crime hoax. It was a hate crime hoax. And it didn't take place over a couple of early morning hours on May 8th, 2018. It took place over months. And the Yale administration and police were complicit. And what I want to say is that it could not be more obvious that the Living While Black movement was exploited by charlatans and frauds like Michael Harriot of The Root and like Lolata Siambola and Jean-Louis Renaissance. And it was turned into a blood sport targeting vulnerable white women, those with seeming or ostensible mental health disabilities. And of course they went after the most vulnerable. Because they thought that we would be good victims. Michael Harriot of The Root thought I was the perfect victim, and that's why he attacked me and continues to attack me. And it could not be more obvious that this was done as collective punishment against white women for Trump's election in 2016. It could not be more obvious that that is what happened. And these charlatans and frauds and the actual grifters, like Michael Harriot of The Root, were perfectly happy to actually burn the Living While Black movement to the ground to make moral outrage industry profit and gain. And they couldn't actually care less about the well-being of Black people, about the safety of Black people, about police accountability and transparency. Everyone knows at this point that the reason why Michael Harriot of The Root called me a swamp twat was because I was demanding police accountability and transparency. So excuse me, I thought police accountability and transparency were the cornerstone of the Black Lives Matter movement, which I support. So Michael Harriot of The Root is the grifter. Michael Harriot of The Root is the bigot. Michael Harriot of The Root is the liar. Michael Harriot of The Root is the racist. Michael Harriot of The Root is responsible for helping to destroy the Living While Black movement. Michael Harriot of The Root has made clear that he couldn't care less about police accountability and transparency because he decried my demand for police accountability and transparency and actually took my demand for police accountability and transparency as an opportunity to make disgusting and bigoted and misogynistic and derogatory comments about my genitalia, even though I'm a sexual assault survivor with mental health disabilities. And he thought it was okay. He thought that was the correct moral position to take. That was the social justice warrior position to take. That was the woke intersectional feminist position to take because I have white skin. And if that's not fucking disgusting, stunning bigotry and stupidity, I don't know what is. And actually, one of the reasons, now people like to say, well, Sarah, you didn't speak up. You didn't talk to the press right after May 8th, 2018, so it's your fault that your life was destroyed. It's your fault that we staged a global vilification and defamation campaign against you and didn't bother to even, Google your fucking name. The New York Times didn't bother to Google my fucking name to discover that I was a lifelong human and civil rights activist before they decided to participate in the global defamation campaign against me that almost got me killed. Okay, first of all, number one, I was suicidal and I had to flee Yale's campus for my life. But do you know why else? Do you know why else I was hesitant and it took me a long time to actually, step up and go into public again, go onto social media again, go on Twitter again and make my case for myself and defend myself, which, by the way, every single time I tried to do that, I got flooded again with death threats and threats of violence and another mobbing. Every single time. In the middle of the summer of 2018, I stood up on Twitter and I said, this is crazy. I'm a lifelong human and civil rights activist. I have never engaged in racist behavior in my entire life. I got hit by a mob again. Death threats, threats of violence, people telling me I'm so ugly I should go hang myself like my dead brother Jacob. I tried again in the fall, got hit with another mobbing. I tried to tell Roxane Gay I'm completely innocent. Please watch my YouTube videos. Got smacked with another mobbing, a wave of death threats, wave of threats of violence. People telling me to go hang myself like my brother because I'm so ugly. Okay, that happened every single time. But do you know why else I was hesitant? I was hesitant to speak out because I wanted to protect the Living While Black movement. Because I knew it was going to become obvious. And then later I wanted to save the Living While Black movement. But I just kept seeing that more and more of the incidents were turning out to be hoaxes. And eventually there was the Smith College that turned out to be a hoax. There was the UT San Antonio that turned out to be a hoax. There was the Chipotle incident, which turned out to be a hoax. They all turned out to be hoaxes. And eventually I just saw that the Living While Black movement had already been burned to the ground by charlatans and frauds like Michael Harriot of the Root. And that's what I wanted to say. Okay, I'm going to have a bunch of links below. Please support me as I continue my fight for justice. It's not just about me. It's about due process and free speech and restoring civil liberties and stopping the moral outrage industry from getting one more innocent person killed, destroying one more innocent life. We can do this. We are in a moment of cultural insanity, mass delusion, but we are going to survive this. We are going to stand together. Please support me. My PayPal, me, and GoFundMe links are below. I love you all so much. Thank you. Have a great night.